Good morning and welcome to Let's Talk Real Estate, presented by the Cisneros Realty Group at Keller Williams, servicing the New Hampshire Lakes and White Mountains regions. Today's show is sponsored by Blue Water Mortgage, Summit Title, and Allstate Insurance, the Joe Suazo office in Derry, New Hampshire. Time to join our host and Let's Talk Real Estate on 101.5 WEEI Sports Radio, Lakes Region.
And we're back. This is Karina Cisneros. Our previous segment, we had Dana Gunnarsson of Joe Suazo's Allstate office. If you'd like to contact Dana, her phone number is 603-434-4705. Now let's talk about a really interesting and fun topic, living on the lake. There's always something about water. We want to live on the water. We want to go find that house and buy the house and live a lake life. But what is it really like to live on the lake? Well, today we have a very special friend and guest, Art Ableman. He happens to live on Lake Winnisquam, one of my favorite lakes. He lives on the north side of the lake near the Loon Preserve, and he's been living in his house for the past 25 years. Welcome to our show, Art.
Thanks very much. It's always a pleasure. Looking forward to sharing some of my 25 years worth of insight.
So Art and I see each other almost every other morning at George's Diner in Meredith. We got talking about real estate, lake living, and he told me about some of the things people don't think about when it comes to living on the lake. So let's start with number one. Tell us, Art.
Well, 25 years ago, I bought my house, and I knew I wanted to be on the water, but I didn't really know all of the different things that come along with that. But all of a sudden, you have relatives and friends that you never knew you had, especially on the hot days.
Okay.
And they show up.
And that's fun, right?
It is fun.
Until
some of the expenses and some of the wear and tear, and those who are there to help set up and those who are not there to help set up and tear down, because it's a lot of work to get a lake house up and running in the beginning of the summer and then to get it torn down a little bit in the preparation for winter. Okay. So there's ups and downs.
Okay, what's the next one you want to share?
I think that my experience on the lake has shown me that when you first get there, you're excited to be there, but you don't realize some of the changes that you'll want to make. And pretty soon, you want everything to be bigger. So your house is great, but you want the deck to be bigger. Your patio is great, but you want the patio to be bigger. Your dock is wonderful, but you want a larger dock because now you want a larger boat. And so I think when you go into the idea of moving onto a lake, you need to think about that it's a growth process.
Okay.
And you're starting out at the small part of it, but you will want to get bigger.
Okay, share another one.
With that same thought, I think is the idea that you'll start with a patio or a porch, and as one of my neighbors is doing now, all of a sudden you want it to be a screened-in patio and porch. People told me that when I first got there. Oh, you're going to do the deck? And I said, yes. They said, well, plan for the fact that you're going to want to screen it in soon. And I said, no, that'll never happen. And sure enough, it does happen.
Okay, share another one.
Garage, storage. You don't realize how many toys come with buying a lake house, and all those friends and family members, some who you never met, are all of a sudden in need of a kayak, a canoe, a wakeboard, the paddle boards, all the different toys that people want to have, the tubing, and so forth. And so that's wonderful in the summer when it's all out, but then come September, October, you have to all put it away somewhere. And the number of people I know who have then applied for variances to build a garage or expand their garage is innumerable as they realize the needs.
Okay, tell me about the trees.
They only get bigger.
Really?
And they only get bigger. And so I know I cut down a lot where I live and do the same for others near me. But you think about your shade, and also you think about the fact that they come down in the wintertime. So it's windier on the lake, and you've got more tree maintenance to take care of. And the sooner you get to it, the easier it's going to be, because it can be an expensive process.
Okay, a topic dear to my heart, because I have three of them. Chiquita Banana, Don Juan de Marco, and Christina My Heart, my three little dogs. Tell us about pets.
I think pets are wonderful. I've always been a dog person. But on the lake, it's a different story when you have a dog, because the dog can actually get himself or herself in trouble in the water. And some dogs are swimmers, some dogs are not. Some dogs are swimmers to the point where they swim so far you've actually lost track of where they are. And other times people bring dogs, and they don't necessarily understand what it is to have a dog at the water's edge and what that means. And it's also important because sometimes your neighbors are not dog people, and you have to be sensitive to the fact that the dogs do wander, and other neighbors who are close by because you're on the water don't necessarily have the same affinity towards the pet life.
Okay, we only have a couple more. Tell us about garden chemicals.
That's definitely something you have to think about, as everybody likes to have their own vegetable garden. That's one aspect of it, but there's two ways that people go on the lake. One is they want the perfect lawn and everything to be absolutely manicured beautifully. And then there's the other side, which is low maintenance or no maintenance. And if you go into the manicured side, you definitely are in use of some of the lawn care products that you want to take care of and know the different rules and regulations when you're that close to the water.
Okay, I absolutely agree. That's very important. And finally, we have time for one more. Know your neighbor. Tell us about that one.
That's an important one. Sound on the water travels.
Yeah,
and it
does.
travels in funny directions that you wouldn't necessarily think of. So I actually can hear conversations from people who are across the lake from me as far as a half mile or mile away.
Wow.
But I can sometimes actually hear the perfect conversation.
Wow.
And things like music travel, the number of guests that are coming, where everyone's going to park on the private, quieter roads. And so you just have to think about what your neighbors are doing, what you're doing, and how to communicate openly so that you can both be able to enjoy the fact that you are on the lake, which is where you want to be.
So before we say goodbye to Art, I want to ask Art to tell us about an initiative that he spearheads called To Strengthen Initiatives Dedicated to Education in Schools. What's that about, Art?
Well, I'm a lifelong educator. Spent 30 years as an educator. And on a cold day in January, sitting along the lake, I realized that one thing that people don't pay attention to is in some of the warmer climates like the Caribbean, where there are two sides of life. There's the side of life for those of us who go on vacation there and take a cruise line or stay at an all-inclusive resort. And there's a life of those who are living there as their home, who just don't have the same amount of resources that we have. And so I've started an effort to work with schools and children in some of those remote locations in the islands of Jamaica, St. Thomas, as well as the Bahamas, in an effort to point out the difference between the two sides and a desire to strengthen the initiatives dedicated to educating students in those areas.
Thank you, Art, for sharing that. If you'd like to contact Art to discuss that and much more, you can contact Art at Art Ableman. That's ART-AB as in boy, ELMANN at gmail.com. Art, thank you for being here. I look forward to seeing you next time at George's Diner in Meredith.
Absolutely, and we'll have to have you out and enjoy some fun times on the lake and the water.
I can't wait. Thank you.
Alrighty, my pleasure.
Okay, join me next Saturday morning at 8:30 a.m. for another episode of Let's Talk Real Estate. And if you or someone you know is looking to purchase a new home or sell, please contact me at 603-273-6160. You can also find me on Facebook, YouTube, and on our website, nhlakeshomes.com. If you missed today's show, no worries. The video and podcasts are available on YouTube, Facebook, and on Let's Talk Real Estate nh.podbean.com. And remember, mi casa es su casa. And my name is Karina. You know, like the song Karina, Karina. Until next time, play my song.
Karina, Karina.
Let's Talk Real Estate is presented by the Cisneros Realty Group and sponsored by Blue Water Mortgage, Summit Title, and Allstate Insurance, the Joe Suazo office in Derry, New Hampshire. Let's Talk Real Estate is a production of Modern Media LLC, CRG TV, and MR Strategic Alliance LLC, all rights reserved. Join us every Saturday morning at 8:30 and Let's Talk Real Estate with Karina Cisneros, Realtor, on WEEI 101.5 Sports Radio Lakes Region.